All right, want to go ahead and get started? Or you want me to wait? Just go ahead? All right, very good. Welcome, my name is David Munn, and this is Finding and Applying for Federal Jobs and Internships. So first of all, I know there's one veteran in here. What branch?
Navy.
Navy, okay, very good, very good. And what majors are all of you? In what year? Junior finance, okay. Freshman, okay, remember? Communication, what year? Junior, okay, okay. All right, so I'm a veteran as well, 33 years. So I've worked for the federal government, not a federal, I don't think they call us federal employees, but we work for the federal government, and so it's been a source of enjoyment for me. I really enjoyed my time in the service. I got a lot from it. But we're going to talk about the federal employment and specifically about the Pathways program. Okay? Has anybody heard of the Pathways program before? Heard of the Pathways program? Okay, great. So this will be really interesting for you. Okay? So just real curious, why are you interested in the federal government?
There's a bunch of reasons. It's pretty secure as far as the location goes. Benefits are good, and time of service is applied towards and retirement.
Good reasons. How about you, ma'am?
Kind of the same, I guess.
In what?
I said probably the same as him.
Okay. How about you?
I think there's a lot of good opportunities in the federal government. My dad is also in the military, so I'm familiar with how the military works.
Oh,
So I
okay.
think it'd be a good field to get into and help, just change lives.
Sure. Nice. How about you?
It's kind of the same, just exploring different opportunities.
Okay, great. Let's just jump right in. Okay, so this is our agenda for today. We're going to talk about why federal employment. You guys have kind of given a little bit of your input or a little bit of your interest. We'll look at the Pathways program. So there's 3 programs within Pathways. There's the internship, recent graduate, and the Presidential Management Fellows program. And we're going to talk pretty extensively about the internship and recent graduates, a little bit about Presidential Management Fellows, just giving you some general information about that. And then we'll kind of dig right into how to find those positions on USA Jobs and the agencies, okay? So this is really wide open, so if you have any questions along the way, feel free to ask, okay? All right, so first let's, you guys kind of started talking a little bit about why the federal government, okay? So for me, it's a chance to make a difference. For me as a veteran, I felt like I had a chance to make a difference. And I know a lot of students, don't join the military, and that's fine. But working for the federal government really gives you an opportunity to make a difference, okay? There's a number of different career field opportunities. So finance, there's engineering positions, plenty of communication positions. And you said you were what major? Engineering, okay. So there's plenty of opportunities in the federal government for those majors, okay? Every agency has a different mission. So, you have the DOD and, some of those more well-known Homeland Security, but there's a lot of other ones that, especially like the IRS. They have a pretty good financial mission for those folks. And then engineering is a pretty diverse area, so there's plenty of those opportunities. One thing I like about the federal government is training and development. This is an area that a lot of companies, they train you and they have their onboarding process, but the federal government really trains you. They send you away to schools. A lot of times they'll pay for a graduate degree. I really enjoyed that part of it. I like the traveling and I like the constant learning. So that's a really great benefit of the federal government. You'll be amazed at how well they train you. Another thing that I like personally is I like to have a work-life balance. Because a lot of companies that you work for, You know, if you've ever been on Glassdoor, anybody familiar with Glassdoor? If you're not, it's an option that we have on our Career Center. And there's a number of things that you can use that Glassdoor for. And it's basically to find out about companies. You could find out about interviews, questions that they ask in the interview. And you can also find about the pros and cons of working for a specific company. And so one of those components is work-life balance. And a lot of companies, let's face it, you know, they might tell you that they have a good work-life balance, but a lot of times you go on Glassdoor and it's just the opposite. The federal government is really great in that respect. Not only do you have a good work-life balance, but they have options to do telework, telecommuting. Has anybody ever done that? Any kind of telecommuting, working from home? You know, you see the government workers when, you know, they get a foot of snow and Washington shuts down. Those people are still working. But they get a chance to work from home, which is a nice option. It really is. From someone that's worked a long time, it's really nice. The compensation, honestly, is really good. You might start out a little bit lower, but the chances for acceleration is tremendous. Okay? So you could jump, I mean, I don't know what your experience has been in the work world, but if you could jump $2,000 in a year, that's pretty good. I mean, you know, like I said, you might start out, especially in those fields like engineering, you know, where you might come in a little bit higher in the civilian world, but your opportunities to advance are tremendous. And so it doesn't take you long to get above that. You know, there's tremendous opportunities there. So those are some of the benefits. Okay, so as far as federal pay, okay, we're going to look at, I gave you guys all a chart. Okay, so that's the salary table. And government uses a GS scale, government scale. Okay? Do you want to come up and get a couple of things here? There we are. Are you a veteran? Okay. Yeah. So they go from 1 to 15, and there are 10 steps at each grade level, at each GS level. Okay? So just to kind of give you an idea of how your degree translates over to the GS scale, okay, if you have a bachelor's degree, generally you're at the GS 5 to GS 7 level. So if you look on there, GS 5, step 1 is 32.5. Okay? That's the 5 level. Okay, I'm going to talk to you about a lot of these jobs, they are on a ladder. And so they might say level 5, level 7, level 9. Okay, that means that level 5 is the lowest that you could come in at, but level 9 is the highest. Okay? So ideally, if you came in at level 5 and you jump to level 6, that's almost a $3,500 jump. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good jump. Okay? And so that's kind of an example of how quickly you can accelerate. Now, I'll be honest with you, to go from a 5 to 6, you got to be a go-getter. Okay? I mean, you don't have to be on the fast track. I mean, you got 10 steps there that go from 32 to 42. So you can stay on that type of track or that type of path. Or, again, for me, I think it's, just like you would do at any company. Are you willing to do what it takes? Are you willing to do extra? Are you willing to learn? Are you willing to go to different places and do different things? Train? Okay? That's the type of people that the government's looking for. Okay, and I have a good friend that works for the government for the Office of Personnel Management, and she said in the next 5 years, there's going to be a dramatic increase in the number of government workers. Why do you think that is? Retirements, yeah. And this lady works with the HR system. And so those are the people that get the applications for retirement. She said it's going to be huge. Okay? So just another encouragement, inducement here, okay? All right? And of course, it varies by geographic location. So the one I gave you is for Pittsburgh, and it's just like anywhere else. It's not really based on the standard of living. It's based on comparative costs. Okay, so in a way, it is standard of living. If you went to Hawaii, it would be more expensive to live there, right? So you're going to get an adjustment. You're going to get a cost of living, or it's not really called that. It's like a location adjustment. Okay, so you'll get more to live in Hawaii than you would to live in Pittsburgh. Okay? And so again, I talked to you about how you can progress in the federal government. Okay? Any questions? Comes to mind? Okay, so I gave you the salary and I kind of made it, I was plugging it in, so I kind of made it easier on myself to, but you could see some of the jumps that you would make. 6, 8, look at that one at step 14 to 15. That's a $4,000 jump from the next step. You know, that's pretty good. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the Pathways program. All right, so the Pathways program, the federal government wanted to really take advantage of college graduates and college students. Okay? Does anybody remember the STEP or SCEP program? You remember that? Yeah. It was like a summer student program. And government agencies could basically hire students for the summer. Some of the jobs were clerical. You know, they just were kind of filling in for people that were on vacation, just general stuff, and others were related to their major. Okay? With this Pathways program, all the positions are related to your major. Okay? So it's going to be based on, first and foremost, it's going to be based on the fact that you're a college student. So you're not in the pool with all the other people that don't have education. So that Pathways program is specific for college students. Okay, and I'll kind of show you on USA Jobs the fact that one of the requirements is you have to be a college student or you have to be a recent graduate. So that puts you into a much smaller pool of candidates. Okay, so we're going to talk about the Pathways program. Okay, here's all the gee whiz stuff. President Obama's executive order, they were basically overhauling that whole STEP program, and they wanted to have a pipeline. Pathways, pipeline, whatever you want to call it. You know, they wanted to have that pipeline for students, okay? And so President Obama created this program, and I told you we're going to talk about the internship, recent graduates, and Presidential Management Fellows program. Okay, so let's start with the internship program. So one of the things that, and I used to be a 10 steps instructor, okay? And so one of the really confusing things that the federal government did is they confused internships, which is most college students, when you think of an internship, you think of something that you do before you graduate, right? Right? Okay, so when the federal government would advertise internship positions, that's what students would think. But what they really meant is it's an internship after you start your job. It's like it's almost like a residency, or I don't know what you would call it, but it was after you got your job. Almost like a probation period. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like a residency. You go through an internship. They, put you with a mentor, and they have a specific amount of time that you go through the program, okay? And so they realized that, all right? And so what they did is they basically changed their jargon, okay? And they created this program, all right? And so this is basically what it is. It's for students that are in school, okay? For you guys. Okay, here's the eligibility requirements, okay? Students enrolled are accepted for enrollment on a half-time basis. Every college determines what's half-time. Okay, that's really up to the college, what they consider half-time. Okay, so I don't know if any I don't know if any colleges are on the quarter system. I don't know. I have I haven't been in higher education that long, but the school determines whether you're half-time or not. Okay, and so it goes all the way from high school to graduate school, to professional degrees. Okay, so they hire interns at any level. Okay, doctoral level, medical people. Okay, so let's break that down. Okay, so what it used to be, let's see. Okay, so each agency determines the administrative part, like what they determine what they're looking for. Okay, each agency. All right, so some agencies, they want maybe like Homeland Security. You know, those agencies that require a longer security clearance. So if you work for the DoD and you have to have a security clearance, usually those internships tend to be a little bit longer and maybe full-time. I know that's a little bit confusing, but again, the longer it takes, and there's two processes we'll talk about. There's a background check, which is basically your standard run-of-the-mill employment background check. You know, you fill out the paperwork, okay, and they check. It's like an employment background check, okay, as opposed to a security clearance. So you've had a security clearance, right? Okay. And those are much longer. Trust me, much longer, right? Yeah. Okay. And so that has a lot to do with that intern. And usually, I would say most of the time, you probably don't work in a position that would require a security clearance, okay? And there's also, this is what's really nice about this internship program, is that you get a mentor. Okay, so whether you get credit for it or not at the college level, the government gives you a mentor, they give you an employment development program, you have opportunities to convert this to a non-competitive, to a regular full-time position. You have that opportunity, okay? So the government is no different than any other employer. That's the reason why most employers hire you as an intern, because they want to see what you're about, see if they want to hire you. Okay, they invest that money in you to hire you. Okay, and again, like I said, it could be full or part-time. We'll look at some of them. There are some in the Pittsburgh area, but for the most part, they're spread out everywhere. Okay, so, you know, they're at NASA, they're at John Glenn, they're at the FDIC or IRS. So there's a real diversity of those internships. We'll take a look at those. You guys have any questions so far? Yeah.
Are these internships provided like just during the summer, or are they more like year-long programs?
Most of them are during the summer.
Okay, and you say that they're across the states. My dad's now stationed in Alaska, so that's where we'll be going for the summer break. Do you know if there's anything in Alaska?
Off the top of my head, I don't, but I could definitely look. We can definitely look. Yeah, good question. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah? Okay. Okay, so the recent graduates program, pretty self-explanatory. Okay, so those are for graduates, students that graduated in the last 2 years. So you have up to 2 years after you graduate to be considered for the recent graduates program. Now, if you're a veteran, you have some extended time. So if you've been deployed during that postgraduate time, they extend that time. So if you're deployed for 2 years, you get an additional 2 years to take advantage of this, okay? But generally, it's 2 years after you graduate for recent graduates. Okay, and it's the same type of thing, undergraduate to professional, any level, just about any agency, any field qualifies for this, okay? Again, it's sort of a program, and here's the thing. Here's the other reason why they did this, the federal government, is one of the biggest hurdles to jump when it came to recent graduates in the past was 1 year of specialized experience. The federal government generally wanted 1 year of specialized experience, and most students didn't have that. Okay? Now, the federal government, for experience, they consider any experience that's relevant. It could be volunteer. It could be part-time. Okay, it has to equal 1 year. Okay, 52 weeks a year, 40 hours a week. Okay, so we'll look at some of the requirements for the resume, but on the resume, you're going to tell them how many hours a week you worked. Okay, that way they know how to figure it out. But this was a program that addressed that. Okay, so you're getting this based on your education. Remember I told you, you're in a limited group. Okay, so this isn't open to the general public. These Pathway Recent Graduates program, only for college graduates. That's it. Okay, so it's a much smaller pool. Okay, any questions? Okay. And the other thing is, this is just good reading, all right? Kind of what I already said. So you could be in graduate school and take advantage of this as well. Okay, this one is administered at the agency level. Okay, the individual agency level. Okay, and it's, I mean, look at what you get. I mean, you get mentorship, you get your individual development plan, 40 hours of interactive training per year, opportunity for career advancement. That's the other thing. You know, if you've ever heard that once you get into the government, it's so easy to move around. That's absolutely true. I mean, think about the pool that they have in the government, the federal government. I mean, I don't know how many employees the federal government has, but it's a lot. Okay? I mean, you're not going to get that at any corporation, have that kind of flexibility to move around. Okay? And it's really true. Once you get into the federal government, it's very easy to move around. Okay? So this is a program, again, something that you can, you get your foot in the door, and it's so easy to move up and around. So if you say, okay, all right, I want to take an internship in Alaska, and maybe I want to convert that to full time and stay there. Maybe, okay, so once you get your foot in the door, and then maybe your dad moves back here. So you have that flexibility. Okay, so the Presidential Management Fellows, this is for post-grad. This is master's and above. Okay, so that's why I really don't talk too much about that, is generally most students. But again, it's one of those programs that it's very, restrictive is not the word, but it's tough to get into this program. And it doesn't mean that you can't, but these are some of the requirements. And this is a program that the government, that any agency can pull from. Okay? This is a program that any agency can pull from. But it's like a leadership management training program, is what it is. And you go through a couple different levels of interviews and a selection process. Okay? Let's see. If you look it up, you'll be able to see some of the requirements for this PMF program. Okay, but again, it's a 2-year leadership development program in the federal government, but it is for postgrads. Okay, this one's operated by the Office of Personnel Management, not by the agencies. Okay, you don't have to be nominated by your schools any longer. Okay, and we'll see on the USA jobs. If you're interested in this program, the way it works is the initial application process starts in August. Okay, so if you're going to be graduating in spring, you would want to start getting your, well, none of you are undergrads, or you guys are all undergrads, right? Okay, all right. But down the road, if you are interested, after you get your master's, fall is the time to apply for this program. Okay? Okay, so again, there's a pretty good winnowing process or application process here. So, just like anything else with this, make sure you do your homework. Make sure you do your homework and get yourself squared away with that, because I know that's a long process. Okay, so we're going to look at how to find and apply for these pathways positions. Okay, we're going to look at, looking at the job opportunity announcements, submitting applications, and creating a USA Jobs account and profile. Okay, so does anybody have a profile on USA Jobs? You do. Was it pretty easy to get set up? Okay. So it's a lot like Colonial Track. You have to enter your demographics. They have opportunities for you to upload a resume, all of that. All right? Let's see here. Okay. All right. Okay, here's the USA Jobs website. Up here on the right-hand side, you can create an account. It's really simple. Okay. It's actually just very simple, just putting in your email address and setting up a username and password. Very simple. Okay. Okay, so if you go to USA Jobs, they have a free resume workshop. And normally when you go on there, if you just wait for it to scroll, you'll see it. And it's next Monday. Okay? So we don't really cover as much with the resume here on how to set it up, on how to create it. But if you go to that, if you sign up for that workshop, they'll show you how to do it. Okay? So but you can definitely look up positions here. Correct. So if you go here down to keyword and you put in pathways, so for me, you could go over here to location and you could put in Pittsburgh, but let's just see what they have open here. Okay. So as it's the Pathways program, you're going to get internships, recent graduates, and PMF. I doubt the PMF will be on there because that process is pretty much already started. So here's one. An internship, budget analyst, finance. Okay. That is in Maryland. Engineering. IT. Engineering. Okay, so I guess with anything else, you have to consider where it's at and do you have the ability to get there, the money to get there. They pay pretty well, but again, in some of these, they won't pay for you to go to California. You'll have to, and again, some will, but some won't. You just have to, let's just click on some of these and see what we have here. Okay, so if you're interested in working, Phil, do you know how to shrink the size of that screen? Sure. I'm like losing some content there. Oh, okay. Very good. Okay, great. Okay, so this is the Department of the Navy at their Naval Surface Warfare Center. A couple of things that you want to notice here. Okay, the first thing is who might apply. And since this is an internship, look at what it says here. Individuals currently accepted for enrollment or currently enrolled in a qualifying educational institution on a full-time or half-time basis. Does that pretty much sum everybody up here? Okay. All right. The other thing, so now, how many of you have done a resume? Okay. All right. So, what's it? What's the standard for you guys in communication? 1 page. 1 page in engineering and 1 page in business. Okay. Unless you're a vet, unless you have more experience, then it could be more than 1 page. 8 pages. Okay. Do you have a government? Okay. So you have a government resume. Okay. So that's a good point. Government resumes can be and are usually more than 1 page. Okay? And so the normal standards for resume writing, where you use a lot of bullets and things like that, the government likes you to write those things out. Okay, so let's just look at how you go about writing a resume. So there's 2 options on USA Jobs. There's a resume builder, and there's a cut and paste or a download. So you can either download your resume or you can use a resume builder. My suggestion is to do both. So the resume builder is going to ask you questions like, how many hours a week did you work? How much did you make? What was the name of your supervisor? What is their phone number? Can we contact them? So that's not normally on a civilian resume. Also, what courses have you taken? So if they're looking for an intern in as a budget analyst, they might want to know the accounting or finance classes that you've taken, okay? They also want to know more about what kind of experiences do you have? Leadership experiences, community service, okay? They want to know more about that, okay? And so what you're looking for, and now this one, you see in bold here, it says this is a temporary appointment that may be extended for up to 1 additional year. Okay, the reason why that is because this is the Department of the Navy. Just about every one of their jobs requires some kind of security clearance. So this isn't a standard employment background check. This is an extensive 1 to 2 month security clearance, okay? So they're going to want to lock you up a little bit longer than just 3 months, okay? So a couple of things that you want to notice. First of all, the duties. Actually, yes. Okay. Didn't look at this one before I pulled it up here. Okay, so if you look down here where it says assignments are part of a project and may involve developing information from a variety of sources, what kind of things might be important to mention on a resume? I'm talking to the engineers.
I don't have much experience yet, so I don't know what I would put down.
Okay. You're engineering. Could you help her out?
Recent projects.
Yeah. Yeah. Project experience. It could be business and professional, workplace communication. Any projects? So they're looking for examples of where you've worked in projects. Okay? And that could include if you were in AFA, if you were in investment club, or, things where you coordinated, projects. So they would definitely want to know things like that. Okay, the qualification should be that you are eligible or currently accepted for enrollment in higher education degree. Okay? Yes.
I have a version of mine. I'd be happy if you want to show anybody.
Sure, absolutely. I think that's a great idea. Here's. Yep. Okay. So that first part looks a lot like a regular resume. Okay. Here's one of the big things. As part of a government resume, they call them KSAs, knowledge, skills, and abilities. Okay? So if John were to look for engineering positions, he would probably see these headings here: engineering and technology, production and processing, building construction, mechanical and design. Okay? Generally, engineering positions in the federal government are going to model what you would see in the civilian world. Okay? Except for the difference is, in the civilian world, they're really more concerned about what you have actually done, but in the federal government, they're really interested about what you've learned. Okay? So these are the important headings that the federal government expects to see. Okay? And so let me give you a synopsis of how they evaluate. All right? So remember the 5-level, GS5, GS7, GS9. Okay? On almost every USA job application, there's a questionnaire. Okay? And they basically, to sort of make it very simple, if John were applying for an engineering position and they asked him about engineering and technology, okay, they would ask you the responses to what do you know, how have you used engineering and technology. There are 4 levels. The first level is, I don't know anything about this. Okay, so that's probably not the one that's probably not going to get you a job at any level if you don't know anything, right? The next level is, I've learned about this. Right? That's probably where a lot of people are. I've learned about this. Okay, the next level is, I use this and I know it. Okay, so it's not just a knowledge level, it's a skill level. Okay, I've actually used engineering and technology. Okay, so let's not kid each other. They're going to want to see where you have that experience. So you can't just say, John couldn't just say, I have that experience. They're going to go, ooh, yeah, gee whiz. But they're going to go, okay, now you prove to me where you got it from. So you have to have that experience on there for them to see that. Then the last level is usually the level, not only do I know it, not only do I use it, but I'm a subject matter expert in it, or I supervise other people in this task. Okay? So that's the 4th level. All right? A lot of times, if you're applying for a 9 level, well, they're going to expect to see a lot more of those 4, the 4th one, the 3rd and 4th one. So John's probably not going to be competitive for a job at the 9 level that he just knows about it. He hasn't actually worked with it, or he's not an expert in it, or he hasn't supervised somebody in it, okay? Okay, but again, like I said, most of you're going to have at least, I'm knowledgeable about this. And then maybe Maybe you had a project, a design project, or a communication project like public relations, or something like that. Event management. You planned an event, coordinated a project management. Okay, so that's generally what they're looking for, regardless. And here's the other part of it too, is you want to fully explain the experiences that you've had. Okay, because again, you're still competing against other college students. Okay, so again, if you don't leave anything off, that's why it's a 8-page resume. Okay, because you're not supposed to leave things off. Put everything on there. Okay, and there's a trick to it. There's an art to it about putting it in the right order. You can use the resume builder, which puts it in for you. Okay, so my suggestion is do both. Do the resume builder, so that automatically places the headings where they belong. It asks the appropriate questions, all of that. Okay? So look at what John did. So not only does he have a heading, which includes customer and personal service. So has anybody ever had a job where you did customer service? Anybody? No? Yeah. You guys you never did a job that involved customer service? No retail? Yeah, no, I know. What did you do?
I worked at Subway.
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. And here's the other thing you could do is on our website, actually in one of our tip sheets at the Career Center, we have a tip sheet on government. If you put in gogovernment.gov, you can find out about all these different agencies. Okay? So every agency is different. Okay? Like Department of Defense is about security. I mean, that's their mission. They keep the country safe, or they're an intelligence gathering. But some agencies are more concerned with, they work more with the general public. So they want somebody who's a little more outgoing. Maybe that's a good fit for you in communication, But again, you're kind of looking at that agency's mission. Okay, let's see what else John's got here. Okay, wow. Okay, he's got his professional experience. Okay, so this looks a lot like a functional / chronological resume. Okay, because he is using these KSAs, okay, first. So he's basically saying these are the main skill sets that I possess. And then, like I said, here's my proof. Okay? There's my proof. So if you want to see where I've used manufacturing technology or where I've used diagnostic procedures or technology, there you go. That's where I used it. Okay? Do you have to put every experience on there? Probably not. But again, think relevancy. How relevant is it to the position? All right. Okay. Now I noticed I didn't see education on here, John. Is education on here? You put it at the top. Okay. All right. So here's something that he might have done. Oh, he did put the coursework. Okay, great. That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much, John. That's awesome. It's a great example. Okay. So back to USA Jobs. So if we want to go back and look at, that's an internship there. If we want to look at recent graduates, now some of these you're going to see require you to be a member of the military. Have you seen those on there, John? Yeah. Okay, so those are the ones that you have to be a member of the U.S. military. All right, so here's this recent graduate's budget analyst position, okay, with the Department of Defense. Okay, down here where you see series and grade GS 9 to 9, okay, that's one of those positions that's not a ladder position, okay? That doesn't mean that you can't grow and progress in that job, okay? And a lot of the reasons why they do this is because maybe either A, they want to try to keep you there longer, and maybe it's a lot of these recent graduate positions are meant to be a stepping stone. They're meant to be a stepping stone into a greater position, okay? And so you have that advantage. So if you have a GS9, that's pretty good, all right? And the other thing is a lot of these positions, you saw they had an internship working for them as well. So that's kind of the intern full-time job, okay? But you will see ones that have you'll see ones that have ladders attached to them, and those are the ones that have a progression. All right, we're getting near the end of time here, aren't we? Okay. Let's see if there's anything else on here that I want to cover. Okay. All right. Okay, so like I said, setting this up is very easy. It's a lot like Colonial Track. You can upload resumes. And like I said, I would do the resume builder and upload a resume. Okay, I can help you with that. Okay, I've done government resumes before, so I can definitely help you with that. Feel free to get involved with that workshop. Went over that. Like I said, I talked about Go Government. Definitely check that out. Let's see, we covered that. To actually apply for the positions, you have to have a profile set up, okay? And it's really easy to apply. Okay. Let's see something here. Let's go back here. I don't know if you can see that or not. Over here, where it says apply online, that's how you actually apply. It's really easy to submit your application. Expect it'll take a little bit longer, okay? Most of the turnaround is about 45 days. That's how long it takes them to get people starting to interview. And okay, if you have any questions about the application process, and here's the important thing to remember, go through that job announcement with a fine-tooth comb. Look for what they want, all the materials that they want. There's usually a contact person. If you have any questions, contact them by phone, okay? Like if you think, I don't know if I submitted everything. Because a lot of times you'll get something that says you submitted it. All right? If you don't think so, make sure you contact them. The other thing is do this well in advance. Okay? So this isn't something that you want to apply for a position the day before. At least a week. That way, if there's any problems, you have the time to get it taken care of. Okay? Like I said, it's real easy to set up an account. And again, this is a lot like Colonial Track. You have your account, you have your resumes, your saved documents, all of that. Okay, this is the resume builder. It kind of puts everything in there for you. You don't have to do it. Okay, security clearances again take a lot longer. I've already talked about that. Okay, so here's some of the usajobs.gov. There's a special section for students and grads. You can click on that. If you want more information about PMF, there it is. And there's my information. So definitely reach out to me. I'm more than willing to help you, more than glad to help you. Get your resume squared away, apply for positions, do questionnaires. I've basically taken people all the way through the process. So definitely reach out to me and I'll help you in any way I can. All right? Yeah. Phil?
Is a lot of it the buzzwords that you have on your resume? And if so, how do you figure out which buzzwords to use for a particular position?
The keywords. Yeah. Okay, so John, those headings that he had, engineering and technology, those are the key words. And those come from the job description. Under duties, so if you look at the duties, you'll see some of those buzzwords or keywords. So yeah, good question. That's exactly the way you want to build your resume.
Now, if you make a resume, we can bring it to you for review.
Correct. Yep. So what we could do is look at the job description, and this is what I do applying for those positions. I'll just highlight the keywords, and then I'll start putting those either under, and you could do it like John did as a functional type of thing, or you could just put it under where you got it. So John could have just said, okay, he worked at Thermo Fisher, whatever, scientific, and then he got engineering technology, he got certain skill sets underneath that job. He could have done it that way too, but he just went functional. That's fine too. Like I said, veterans get a preference. You still have to qualify, but you get that 5-point preference.
Have you done any of the work with the e-benefits website?
With what?
E-benefits?
No.
So I'm trying to get some of my paperwork documentation from that to make it all digital.
Oh, some of the things that you need for applying for the positions. Yeah, you know, if you go, do you go through the vet center? Have you gone to them? Have they helped you at all?
They can't get me a login for it. I have to either go downtown or I've tried.
It's always a process. Okay. Any questions? All right. Thank you guys very much.